What is your best met the high school bitch bully as an adult story? Not quite the same, but about 10 years ago I caught my dad screaming at the TV. This f-king arsehole got his own show. He was such a piece of shitty when we were kids. He would beat you up for your lunch money. Push you for no good reason. Take your toys. And based on the way he acts now, it does not seem like he grew up much. He was talking about Paul Tuchel Sr. from American Choppers. We met at a bar where a large number of our high school class happened to be. He described me as his arch enemy. I realized I hadn't even thought about him in 10 years. I think a saddest story for me is that I was visiting family while I was in grad school. We'd go to McDonald's because milkshakes, and this guy I kind of hung out with in high school is working there. He was working there while we were still in high school. But I would have assumed he'd moved on by now. He asks how I'm doing and says it's great to see one of his best friends again. It felt awful that I hadn't even thought about him in at least 3 years. She got the whole middle school through junior high to call me gay. I was not gay. She is. She came out of the closet right after high school. AWW. She secretly liked you and hoped you were a lesbian too. I was a jerk in high school. Then I went through the karma mandated fat phase. Made a guy's day when he saw me at work. I went from pretty damn fine in high school to man the harpoons. I am also nicer. He came in and said, wow. Fanciful unicorn? And I said, yep. Does this make it feel better? And spread out my arms. He responded, hell yes. You were a bitch. I said sorry. I was pretty immature. And then we talked like normal adults. I ran into somebody in high school that I used to pick on regularly when we were in 1st second grade. We recognized each other and I walked up to him. We exchanged a few words, since I hadn't seen him in close to 10 years, and then didn't talk again. But right before we parted ways, I apologized for the way I treated him as a child. I couldn't stress how sorry I was for being a piece of shit to him for no other reason than I felt like it. I still occasionally think about him and where he's at in life. Grown up samurai. I work in a jail. I've seen the popular kids on the other side of the bars. I ran into my high school bully at a gay bar a few years back. He was my bottom that night. I was in need for an accountant job, so I searched several websites of businesses. I came across a very worthy company, so I wanted to apply. While I was filling out the form, I looked around the website some more and saw the name of the head chief of the company. I was depressed for the rest of the day. My high school bully who bullied me every f-king day is now the f-king head chief of his own f-king bussiness. I'm an accountant. It doesn't always work out. This one is a classic. This girl used to torment me all through high school and middle school. Really went out of her way to tear me down. Whenever we had a class together, she would make her extreme dislike for me apparent, and of course, other kids followed. I couldn't open my mouth without some kind of ridicule. Of course I was miserable. And my dad would try to cheer me up. Don't worry, kiddo. One day she'll be working at a McDonald's and serving you fries. He actually referred to her as McDonald's for years. A couple years after graduating high school, I went to a Hardee's with my dad. And there was McDonald's behind the counter. So I go up to place my order, and before I finish she says, "You don't remember me, do you?" "Oh, I remember you." "Oh. So, would you like fries with that?" "Why, yes. Yes, I would." "Way to go, Dad. Called it 9 years in advance." "Oh, I remember you. F-king class act. Love it." I had an evil 5th grade teacher who made my life terrible for a year. She even instigated a pick on Stup's day. I saw her at the bar where my friend worked. The day before this, we had invented a shot that tastes like urinal cake smell. Captain Morgan's Lime Bite mixed with Miller High Life. I brought my old teacher and her friends around from across the bar. I made eye contact and raised my shot of wild turkey. They gave me a curious look but took the urinal cake shot nonetheless. My old teacher proceeded to throw up on the bar and get 86 ed from one of the only bars in town. FCKUMRS. Freeman. My sister has since become really good friends with her childhood tormentors. The sad part, to me, is that the reason she was able to patch things up was that she was a very late bloomer and ended up the kind of popular person they wanted to be friends with. I guess she kind of sold out and became friends with them? How on earth the topic never comes up amongst them? I do not know. Maybe it's a long-term plan to enact revenge. Gain trust. Destroy them. Preferably by dumping pig's blood on their heads at a formal event of some kind. For those that feel too happy, I'm doing worse than all of my bullies. Just a generic high school reunion story. The 2-3 most athletic kids had gained weight and gotten some chick pregnant. I think one was still with the mother, who had gained even more weight, and one paid child support. The hot girl that every guy wanted to bang had gotten married and had 3 kids. Was still smoking hot. But had gotten super religious to the point that it was creepy. I lucked out and didn't really garner any enemies while in middle school and high school, mostly because I was the poor kid at a snobby private school in Nashville, TN until I moved in 9th grade and nobody would talk to me. Haha. There was this one really obnoxious boy in one of my classes in 7th grade though. Treated everyone like handmaids, but the parents had money so nothing was ever really done about it. Ran across his Facebook page the other day. His parents just bought him his second Lamborghini because he wrecked the first one. Asterisk. I try not to hold animosity towards anyone. But I hope somebody keys that car. In grade 10. My locker was next to that of one of the most popular guys in school. I was not so popular. When both at our lockers, he would regularly whisper close to my face that I was a stupid SLT and that he was going to pay me. Fast forward 4 years at a party. He shows up. Out of morbid curiosity, I speak to him. He started hitting on me. Obviously not recognizing who I was. I laughed and said loud enough for everyone around us to hear, I'm not going to FCKU. Especially after you threatened to pay me almost every day of grade 10. Full stop. He was horrified. I smiled and walked away. Met a kid that was an absolute brute in high school. Thought he was tough shitty. I think I only went face to face with him once over some dumb shitty about him threatening a friend of mine. No real fight ever came from it, but he was definitely an enemy. Met him randomly in an airport halfway across the country maybe 4 years after high school. He was the nicest guy. The Marines beat the stupid right out of him. I was playing poker in Atlantic City about 7 years ago and one of the guys that bullied me, Chad, sat at my table. There's no way he recognized me. I was actually playing on a no-limit hold'em table while waiting for a seat to open in a 2-way high-low game. Anyway, I stayed at the NLHE table just to take his money. I played probably 95% of the pot he was in. He was pretty drunk and wasn't very good. I got close to $600 off of him in a little over an hour before he decided to quit. I have no idea what he does for a living. But I am 100% sure he is a big loser when he plays cards. Fkin Chad. He was destined to be a douchebag from the name his parents gave him. Bullied me in middle school. Now in college and creates those modern artsy clothing for a celebrity or two. Oh cute, oh cute, oh cute, oh cute. I guess I'm happy for him. He worked hard for it. Edit. It's not sold in stores. Or at Hardy. Or anything of that stuff. Well, this one bummed me out a bit. I had a grade 11 history teacher who picked on me. Insulted me in front of the class and gave me shitty grades. He told me he would never send his own children to public school with such morons. Fast forward 5 years or so. I'm almost finished my first degree and have made all A's in university so far. Shitty teacher comes into the physiotherapy clinic I'm working at. My co-worker deals with him and I tell her the story. And he comes back to book his next up. My co-worker started talking about me as if she didn't know he had been my teacher. Bragged about how she loved mentoring students who are doing so well in school and how successful I had been at work so far. He never returned for his second apt. My math teacher in grade 11 told me to never take math again. It is not my thing. If I take math in grade 12 I will fail. He was right. Edit. I forgot to mention that he told me this in front of the class. After I gave the wrong answer to a question he asked me. I'm a gay dude. Got bullied a lot. Went home last December and met one of my bullies on Grindr. Punished him hard. I go into my mechanic to change my brakes. The usual milfy cashier offers me coffee. I make small talk, been going there forever. They're an honest car repair shop. Believe it or not. Then I notice the guy hunched over a Honda. I call out. He turns. Squints his eyes. Goes, "Hi Griffin." Dot. I call him out on his behavior. He tells me he's straightened up after mouthing off to the wrong person nearly cost him his life. He showed me a shank wound 3 centimeters under his heart. He's apparently happily finishing a course in auto repair and had just been hired at the garage. He turns out to be a nice guy. Having sorted out his issues, I routinely bring him donuts when I bring the car in and he gets me rebates because dude, I brought donuts. The image of someone confusedly saying "Hi Griffin" is too good. Edit. Well, I think this is my highest rated comment now. All about another guy's username. Cool. Tell us more about the milfy cashier. Does she like your donuts? School bully from elementary is now an MMA fighter. So, you're welcome for the practice, I guess. Former bully now currently trims my hedges. Brings a smile to my face every time I think about it. Edit. Yes, this was a Back to the Future joke. Not serious. Ah. Biff. This is kind of applicable, I guess. I got beat up after school for a while when I was about 14. The girl who started it got other people to join and had known me my whole life. And had heard a rumor or just decided she didn't like my face or something. She'd yell different things, so I don't really know or understand why she did it. 5 or 6 years later, I'm on the phone with my dad and he says, "Do you remember that girl you went to school with? Julie last name?" I never told my parents she used to beat me up, so I was a little confused why he'd bring her up. She pulled out in front of a semi-truck and got killed. Just thought you'd want to know. Weirdest feeling. I don't really feel like a huge sense of justice has been served or anything. But I guess I'm just really relieved that there's no chance she'll come flying out of nowhere and start attacking me. They're all fat and bald. Granted, I'm also fat. But I've always been fat, so it's a moot point. But I have a wonderful head of hair and they don't. Nanny nanny boo boo. Nothing special. But the guy who used to make fun of me in 7th grade for being fat is now fat himself. While I've lost all my weight. Karma. Bitch. Dealt with a shitty head in high school. Smaller guy. Made up for it by being really aggressive. I was kind of small, too. So he could push me around. Not really a lot of constant bullying. Just random acts of being a shitty head. Fast forward a few years. I'm bigger. Much bigger. I'm tall. I'm no longer rail thin. I've lost my glasses because of LASIK. And I'm happy. I've almost entirely forgot about this guy until I see him across the dining room at a restaurant. His appetizers have just arrived. And my bill has just arrived. I pay up. Leave a generous tip. And wander over to this guy. Stopping next to him at his table. I say hi. He looks at me. And I can see recognition flash across his eyes. He's eating wings. I reach down. Take one. And calmly eat it. I toss the bone back onto his plate. Nice seeing you again. Then I leave. The look on his face at my random act of being a shitty head was pretty amazing. The arsehole who stole my rare Pokemon cards went to the same art school as me for a bit. Turns out he FCK and sucks at drawing. He flunked out after a month or two. I hope my Charizard warms your cold house of failure. Mothefka. In high school, a group of girls were constantly mean to me for absolutely no reason. They just decided they didn't like me. They would call me a black-eyed pea because they hated that band. Anyway, 10 years later, the ringleader of the group friend requested me on Facebook. I declined it, of course. I did take a quick glance at her page though and was glad to see that she is a recovering heroin addict and looks like shitty. I also heard that she spent some time in jail for leaving a friend to die that had overdosed on heroin. One of the steps in the 12-step program is apologizing to the people you have wronged in your life. It is possible she was trying to contact you to apologize as part of her recovery. You, of course, have no obligation to allow contact from her or forgive her if she does apologize. This one girl used to bully me in high school. She even made me cry on prom night. 4 years later, she works at a gas station and I'm about to graduate with an engineering degree. She hasn't done much with regards to her education. I was working as a medical technologist. Saw my bully from 8th grade on the schedule. Looked at his chart and saw history of drug use, hepatitis C, I think, seizure disorder, and that his grandparents were paying. I didn't have to say a word to him about the bullying or seek out my revenge. I was polite to him, though I never confirmed I had known him prior to that. But we both knew exactly who the other one was. Karma took care of him. There was a guy that punched me in the face every day for a long time in the 8th grade. He wasn't really a bully as much as a dick. Every day he'd sucker punch me and then wouldn't fight. It wouldn't have been as infuriating if he'd just fight. I found out he died of a drug overdose last year. I was happy to hear it. That dickhole was using oxygen and other resources decent people needed. That dickhole was using oxygen and other resources decent people needed. Like drugs. My middle school funneled in about 6 different elementary schools. And it was mayhem. Lots of bullying for skinny shy kids like me. Nothing extreme. But there were a few kids that made my life shter. None of them made it to my high school though. I would see them around town once in a while. And that's when I realized how poor they all were. It never crossed my mind before. But they had a rough go of it. A bit OT. But don't we call girls bullies too? Edit. I ran into the bully from my high school at lunch at a Coney Island once. He had gained about 40 pounds and was apparently a 28-year-old who still thought it was cool to wear a hat crooked. The best part, he didn't have enough money to pay for his own hot dog and had to borrow it from his friend. I grew up in Northern California. And every summer a bunch of people take to the water and go tubing down the Sacramento River. A popular stopping place mid-end of the route is Beacon Beach. It was here that I ran into this guy that was terrible in high school as I was docking my tube. Me. Hey him. In a clear O. I was awful to you. I should feign niceness tone. Hey. How's it going? Me. Through gritted teeth. Awesome him. Pause. You fking hate me. Don't you? Me. Surprised at his astute observation. Yeah. I really do. Him. What would make you feel better and us to be cool? Me. If you let me shoot you in the face with this super soaker. Him. Okay. Me. Really? Him. And then we'll be cool? Me. Yeah. We'll totally be cool. Dot. And then he let me shoot him in the face with a super soaker in a constant stream until it ran out of water. It felt amazing. He knew he deserved it. He took his punishment. We both laughed and hugged. Worth it. Consenting to near waterboarding. A real bro. Saw my bully who tormented me until I attempted suicide on the side of the street begging for money. I was bullied pretty heavily in primary school. A few of them have friended me on Facebook. They're all working and have families of their own and have grown up. As have I. I can't really stay angry with someone for stuff they did age 10. Her favorite thing to call me was Gaylord. She hung out with all her bitchy friends and walked around elementary school making fun of people around them. And one time at a school dance, our principal shoved us together to make us dance. And she tells me, trust me, I do not want to be here with you right now. We met 10 years later through similar friends. We've been dating for over 4 years now. Every few nights, I wreak my childhood vengeance on her ass. He's my employee at my company. Short story. Met a bully from school a few years ago. He was sorry for what he did. Didn't know what to think. Just nodded my head and went off. It's pretty cool that he knew what damage he had done. I still hate him though. He was one of the worst. I was not bullied a lot in middle school, but no one really talked to me in high school because they thought I was lower than them. Especially this one kid who was a townie and popular. So fast forward to second year of college. I am majoring in pharmacy. I get a job at Rite Aid as a pharmacy tech, very happy that my job is related to my career path. And this douchebag walks in. Let's say Joe. And he looks like shitty and is a recovering heroin addict and pays with Mass Health, so he has no job. He recognizes me and tries to shoot the shitty and tells me to steal him some C2 drugs, and I'm like FCK off Joe, and he gets pissy and tries to start shitty, but I still refuse. So far I'm doing what I want in life and he's a druggy scumbag and I felt great.